All right, so we're going to start eeny, meeny, miny, mo, okay? We're going to choose a table. And seeing as how we have a distinguished table to the far left, closest to the stage, my left, we're going to ask them to go first. So that is Secretary Lawlor's table. And if you can bring someone to the microphone, this table to the left.
My name is Captain Dale Horgan. I'm the commanding officer of the statewide narcotics task force. And our group basically had a discussion about what works, what we've found to work in the various communities we've been involved in. And number one, that's cooperation, working with the local police department, working with our other state assets, parole, probation, Department of Children and Families, and our state's attorney. We talked about a few philosophical things. We talked about drug courts and maybe developing a gun court, where we work with a prosecutor in the community and target gun violence. We talked about getting clergy and other stakeholders involved in the community in the small neighborhoods, having a dialogue with them so we get some feedback and support from the community, and identifying the people that are involved in these criminal activities. Because in most cases, it's a small element that's continually involved in criminal practices, and once we can identify them and work on incarcerating them or bringing them to court, that would certainly impact the community. And also Chief Escherman talked about some of the programs that are working in New Haven and some of the successes he's had with reduction of violent crime, in particular gun violence. So that's what we will.
You can expand on it if you want. You have time.
Thank you. I really wanted to.
You don't have to. I'm just saying you can.
No, it was pretty much a lot of the areas that I just spoke about in a nutshell. We could be here probably for the rest of the week and come up with strategies and programs.
What does your table feel will be the most important one thing that you'll do that will help the issue here in Bridgeport?
Community involvement and cooperation amongst law enforcement and all the law enforcement stakeholders.
Thank you. Okay, now if I may choose another table, David and Rosa's table here.
Carolyn.
Okay, Carolyn Vermont Fuller. Thank you.
And how much time do we have? Because we have a lot.
3 minutes.
3 minutes.
And
Hi, I'm Carolyn Vermont, president of NAACP Greater Bridgeport Branch. On my table, discussed the 3 top issues facing our young people that's contributing to crime in the community. Number 1 was poverty. As long as individual needs are not met, you are going to get negative outcome. If they don't have sufficient shelter, don't have sufficient food, not feeling sufficient love, you will have adverse negative activities. Also, another issue that we found at our table is leveraging resources and also coordinating activities. And we have many kids in our community, so sometimes we look at it and we say, okay, duplication of activities is not bad because we have so many kids that need all these activities. But what came out at our table is we don't need 30 basketball programs. You know, perhaps 10 basketball programs, 10 programs that are concentrating on academics, another 10 programs concentrating on another area. And so if we can coordinate as a community and let all our families know about the different resources and how to access these resources, then perhaps the kids can engage in more positive activities instead of the negative activities. Also, another top 3 issue is addressing the diversity in our community. As you know, Bridgeport, Connecticut is very diverse. We have so many ethnic and cultural groups here. And everyone, sometimes we see different groups are caught up in their own pockets, the African Americans, the African Caribbeans, the Latinos, the Asians. But somehow, if as adults we can educate our kids to come together without losing their identity, but to come together as one and learn that they can all contribute to making this a better community. So basically, those were our 3 top issues. As far as action items, as mentioned before by the individual that was up here before me, community involvement is key. You know, bringing all aspects of the community together, the private sector, the police, most definitely the parents, economic development, and this goes back to the poverty issue. In neighborhoods that are economically depressed, you have these blighted properties that are just sitting there, And certainly that's just going to attract more crime into the neighborhoods. So that's something we need to work on. We need to get those blighted properties torn down, not in 2 years, but within 2 weeks, 2 months. We need to really identify and utilize the resources that the city provides. We want the schools to help the police officers work a little closely in identifying kids that need help. Certainly there are programs through the SROs and others that are working effectively in the schools, but we need more of that. Also, we need to highlight positive leaders. Our young people, they're looking at leaders that are not necessarily doing positive things, and they're taking them down the wrong road. So somehow we need to get that message out. You know, we have the videos, the hip hop, the this, the that, and our kids are falling into so much, but they need to know that there are positive people out there, positive role models, and we need them to start duplicating the behavior of those positive role models and not just thinking it's the cool guys is the way to go. Job creation, that's a big piece right there, certainly, and it goes back to poverty. If you don't have a job, you're living in poverty. We need more community to be aware of resources. One thing we did discuss at our table is that there are programs out there to help our young people, many programs. There are programs out there to help families, but if families don't know about these programs, what good is it? You know, our young kids, they know everything that's going on with technology.
Wrap it up.
You know, they're on the, wrap it up? Okay, real quick. Our kids know, you know, they know everything that's going on with texting and everything with technology. But we can't forget about the parents. We go back to the African proverb, it takes a village to raise a child. So we have to have all the village members engaged to save our children. So we feel that there's a lot of work to be done, but collectively, we can get it done in Bridgeport and make it a better place for our children. Thank you.
Thank you. You got an extra minute and a half yield.
Network and a member of the North End Community Council. With the short period of time that we had, I think many of the conversations probably throughout all our tables were quite common. But some of the issues that when I was taking note, we had to make issues and then action steps. Some of the issues we identified was changing culture. Our kids live in a culture that has changed significantly from, let's say, when I was being raised throughout the 70s and 80s, in which we had more respect for one another, we had more respect for life, and even amongst our own teens, we had more respect. And nowadays, that culture has completely changed. You know, and so those are one of the issues we saw. Second, we had an issue of police, the fear of intimidation by police. I'll just leave it at that and we'll come to that in a moment. Three, many residents feeling intimidated by the police, whether it's in the housing projects or in the neighborhoods. Summer jobs needed for kids. And community police, I put down as a fourth one. Where we looked at with community police, of course summer jobs, as Karen will say, we need more jobs for our kids, we need more jobs for our parents. With community police engagement, improving relations with the community. I've met with Captain Stoltz. We know the situation. We know that there are less cops. That we need more cops out on the street. We're down 30 to 40 police. We understand the problem, but this was an issue that was raised. We need more community police in order to build relationships. One of the things was that better communications with the police, having your local police captain, patrol captain's number at hand, so that we can make the call and the process can be done a lot quicker in attending what our needs are. Some of the action steps. One of the interesting ones was I have OGs. Does anybody know what the OG is? OG, original gangster. We were talking about the gang violence and the gangs. We know that in each and every particular neighborhood, there's that one considered OG. Hopefully, that OG has been through the process, knows what the consequences are. We need those OGs to come out and be more engagement and more influential upon our kids in teaching them the right way of what they went through and how to become more productive. Those were one of the action steps. We need to identify them, bring them to the table, and help them help us. Second,
you got to wrap it up too.
Okay. There's just two more things. One, making our parents accountable. Not just not our older parents. Our parents that are in their late teens, in early 20s, who are not giving a crap about their kids or about their community, and they're just concerned about themselves. We need to keep them. We have to find ways to make them accountable. If their kids are going out there doing violent things, it's because it's something's happening at the house. So that's one of them. And the third one is we need to engage our kids. You know, more and more. I mean, that's going to be resounding throughout this whole discussion. Engaging our kids. Let's pull some of these kids out and do simple things. Cleanup days throughout the community. You know, give a kid a bag and a broom or something, and help them accountable for their own neighborhoods.
Thank you, Rick.
Keep them safe.
Thank you. We are regularly going a little long, so you're going to have to make it a little bit more brief, okay, guys? All right, now the table with the blue gentleman with the blue shirt.
Throughout the city, Bridgeport resident, have children in the school system here. Some of the things that we came up at table 4 was community involvement / policing, along with that, empowering community leaders to be kind of like a go-to person for information. So if an individual is not so comfortable talking to, say, someone as a police officer, but maybe they feel more comfortable talking to their neighbor. People actually want to actually get out in the streets and be willing to speak. Addressing loitering issues, we had a couple business owners at our table that said, one of the biggest problems is kids hanging out in front of their stores. It's a deterrent for shoppers to actually come shop. And then, of course, more communication. There was a plethora of ideas between radio, email, TV. We have Chief McNamara at our table. He mentioned that in Fairfield there's a popular email thing where he has a go-to person, if you will. They shoot an email to that individual, and that individual then broadcasts it out to their neighborhood. So if there's an incident, the neighborhood knows about it within 24 hours or so. And I think that's something that would actually work in Bridgeport because I live on the east side, and I didn't realize how densely populated it was. But it seems like thousands and thousands of people there, and very rarely do you see that people are communicating with one another as to what's going on. And I make a point, actually, my neighbor actually lives across the street from me. We didn't even know we were coming here, but at the end of the day, we make a point of waving at each other just to say, hey, how are things going? And I think that's really lost. And someone mentioned that it takes a village to raise a family, and it's so true. Because in my school, I'm the vice president of the PAC, Classical Studies Academy, and we have parent involvement, but only because it's required. And when we go to the district PAC meetings, parents are like, how did you do that? Well, that's the way it's designed. And it really does mean that, parents, the gentleman just said, people being responsible for their kids, it's so important. And thank you.
Thank you for your presence. Next table right here in front of us. This table right here.
I'm Jimmy Neely from the Board of Education on the security side. Work very closely with our Police Department. We have maybe 3 issues we have to talk about that would help. Early intervention. We want to start like a great program that we want to try to re-enculturate our children to understand that there's a way of living that can carry you throughout your life instead of the short-term stuff that we see so often. We understand that poverty plays a very big role in that. We also need to empower our parents and teach them how to be better parents and connect them more with their children and the school and the community. We want to increase coordination services with law enforcement, schools, SRO, and other social services units. We also talked about the new program that we initiated called the Safe Corridor Program. That's going to provide, we're going to make the students, parents, and the schools aware of traveling areas where students can walk, and we're going to have cameras, volunteers out in the community, staying involved, watching our children go to and from school. As I say, we're going to have cameras that are going to be connected to the school and the police department, and we're going to coordinate with the guys in the community, with the sergeant right here. It's also coordinated with Homeland Security. You need to increase the buy-in with everyone in the school area, the community. And we also want to reinforce that security in our community is everybody's responsibility. And I want to leave you with that. Thank you so much.
Very good. Mike, your table?
Tyler Blake, Victory Outreach Church of Connecticut. Pretty much what we have kind of echoes what's already been said, but kind of fit to a different context. And there's a thought that says the farther we are from community, the closer we are to violence. And one of the words that we keep hearing is community, but not so much just in proximity of how we live closer to each other. The gentleman at the table just said that him and his neighbor both were coming, but they didn't know that they would be at the same meeting, lack of community. And so something that is an issue with our young people, where we are seeing that most of the young people are junior high and high school students. And so there's got to be some type of way through potentially aggressive mentorship where our young people are envisioned to understand and know that there is a purpose and a plan beyond which they are living within. And so whether we're taking young people out of the community or we're bringing other young people in, there's got to be some sort of connection where young people are connecting to each other and they see the tangible effects of the choices that they make. In a cooperation within the school system, within the churches, and within the parents, there's got to be an accountability system in between each other. And we've got to be real with each other. We've got to begin to call each other out. And there's a culture within our communities, many within the inner city, that people don't speak up due to fear, but there's got to be a breaking of that. There's got to be a true sense of accountability that just doesn't say that I want to tell you what you need to do, but I'm going to model that, and that I'm going to emulate that, and that I'm also going to teach you to do that. Bringing young people not just only out of their community, but again, envisioning them to understand that there is a purpose and that there is a plan for their life. People without vision cast off restraint. They do anything. And so one of the things that we see in creating sustainable solutions in the inner city has to be one that where people feel connected in such a way that, again, that the choices are affecting each other. Like right now in this room, where there is a proximity, we're sitting with people, but a dynamic will dramatically change if all the people in this room are connected to each other in a way. And then so that within the inner cities, our lives are different. Thank you so much.
John Olson, your table? Okay.
Good morning. My name is David Gordon. I'm a licensed drug counselor and co-founder of the leadership group at Central High School. We have a mix of concerns and solutions here, so I'm going to try to interpret what Mr. Olson wrote. There were some ideas about having workshops with parents There was a concern about the flood of guns. There was conversation regarding the war on drugs has failed, and the violence is directly connected to gangs fueled by drugs, that the kids live up to join the gangs. Let's see. There were comments made that we failed our kids, the community is responsible. Example, the schools. Let's see. There was an idea about the block watch that can be effective, and concerns about more police support. And there was a comment that New Haven has a very effective block watch, so there was some comments made about trying to address those needs, the block watch. There was comments made about more community policing and police presence deters crime. Let's see. When gay members are arrested, there are applicants lining up to take their spot on the block. There was ideas about empowering children and the community. And there were comments suggesting that we need to be more proactive versus reactive and look at successful programs. And I want to mention here today that we have a hero in our community, and his name is Superintendent Paul Vallis. And I know Mr. Willingham is here today. I'm pleased to announce that Mr. Vallis has said and indicated he will be reinstating the leadership group model at Central High School that directly work with students and children affected by drugs. So I'm pleased to announce that. So that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Kenny, how about your table? Kenny Jackson, your table.
Good morning. I am Minister Jacqueline Petway. I am the spiritual leader for YANA, which stands for You Are Not Alone. At our table, we discuss a lot of the same issues that a lot of you prior to me coming up here have spoke about. Number one, it was educating the parents, which we say educating the mothers, because a lot of it is a lot of single mothers in the homes. They don't have a father because their fathers are in prison. And it's so easy for the communities to say, well, you know, that's not my problem, or that's not my child, that does not concern me. But as us, as a community in the city of Bridgeport, it's all of our concern. Because right now we have so much violence that's happening, and all these different organizations that's out here, we're all fighting the same fight. We all want to see a difference. There's different organizations. We all have the same goal, is to stop the violence. But at the same time, we're not coming together with one another. So how can we want them to come together as one another? Together we stand, divided we fall. You know, and it's like, if I can't be on the front scene, or if I gotta be behind the scenes, I don't want to be a part. It's not about that. We're trying to save our city. I was raised here in the city of Bridgeport. My father was on the Bridgeport Police Department. He was a Sergeant Ellery's Best. I have a daughter here that's on the Bridgeport Fire Department. I've been born and raised here. This is my city, and the way it's going is so sad. And we all of us, I mean, it does take a village. I came from P.T. Barnum. I am really proud to say I came from P.T. Barnum. And you don't have to be a product of where you came from. And you need to educate your kids. And we need some more. We need positive leaders in our community. We need some more programs for our school. It's getting where they're starting to say that they want to take sports out of school. I was talking to a young man at our table, and he said other and around suburban areas have already started to pay for play. If your kid want to play a sport, they have to pay. I think, you know, and this is why these kids have nothing to do but end up on the streets, and they all get around together. They're not gangs, they're a bunch of bullies, and they have one person that's ahead of it that everybody's afraid of. They're not gangs, they're a bunch of bullies. And on this Saturday that just passed, we had Detective Harold Dimbo, which young commissioners put on a play about bullying, which, I mean, if you had not seen it, it is wonderful. It is wonderful, but so true. And another thing, talking to the youth, we can stand here and talk all day, but when you're not talking to the youth to hear what they need and what they want, we could say a lot of things, they need this and that, but talking to the youth, because dealing with Yana, we have branched out where we have a Yana Sisterhood, which is a lot of young girls, teenagers, 12, 13, 14, up to 17 years old. And they're all talking about work. They want work. They want to work. There's no summer jobs. When I was growing up, we had all kinds of summer programs that there's summer jobs that you got paid every 2 weeks, and there's no summer jobs. And I'm telling you, if we don't get these kids jobs, let me tell you something. This is how your kid ends up. You don't give them a job, the drug dealer's gonna give them a job. You beat my runner. You want those new sneakers? You be the lookout for the cops. You should tell your kids, they should know a cop by his car. You should know the cop by his name. He is your friend.
Thank you very much. Good morning. I'm Houghton Stark from First Baptist Church, Bridgeport, and from the Council of Churches. We were a table populated heavily by clergy, and so you would think that the very first thing I'd say is we want to just pray for a solution. But we did have some very, very practical pieces that we wanted to share with you, and some of those pieces already been stated. But right on the box, we thought about the fact that we're here because it's violence, it's gun violence, and maybe one of the things that we ought to focus on is strengthening gun controls in our city and in our state, so that we can take the guns that are illegal off the streets. And so our young people, our children, will not have access to illegal guns. We were slightly disturbed when we were told that we should focus on things that should not cost much money. Well, we are spending thousands of dollars on punitive measures. It's time that we invest more heavily on preventive measures. Some of the things have already been stated here in terms of job creation, that in fact our young people and our adults do need jobs, and in particular for our young people to find those resources that in the past have worked very, very well for us. Job Corps, strengthening Job Corps, seeing how well we can improve opportunities for children and young people to be engaged creatively and constructively and be earning some dollars in their pockets. It is easy to go on the street and to sell drugs to make money. And if there are no alternatives, that is where most of our young people and children will go. So we need to be thinking about new ways, creative ways, to engage our young people in employment. We also want to find out ways that our kids can be engaged in recreational activities that will channel their energies into, again, creative, productive stuff rather than destructive stuff. After-school programs. There was midnight basketball in some places, and there are other kinds of things that we need to be thinking about that we can in fact engage our young people in. And in this regard, again, there should be community building, cooperation, collaborative efforts between community organizations and our churches and other organizations in the city, so that in fact we can find ways and resources for our children. We have said it many times, others, community policing. We find this is a key way, in fact, that we can begin to reduce incidents of crime and gun violence if, in fact, the police are engaged in the community and are known by our residents. And so better community policing, we believe, will, in fact, enhance the role of the police in reducing violence and reducing crime in the city. And then education. Not only formal education, but education at every level to say to persons that we are a community, that we have a responsibility to each other. And so starting at the earliest levels in our school system and at the highest levels that we can, we should be talking about how persons can see themselves as being part of the whole. One of the problems we have is that we focus so much on our anti-crime efforts at the high school level. Well, you heard earlier that kids as young as 12 years old are involved. We need to start early. Thank you. Thank you. The table is back there. Gentlemen in the red shirt. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is James Centriolis. I'm a recent college grad. So some Bridgeport websites upside come. All right, so my table, we discussed a lot of things. I'll just run down the list of things that weren't really said. One of the things that we feel is really important is just getting the juvenile system on board, because I know usually there's some information that can't be disclosed because they're minors, but we believe that the juvenile system should be working with the police department and just opening up that dialogue. Something else that was said was empowering our fathers. Granted, there's a lot of single-parent homes, and the majority of those homes are mothers, but we feel that it's very important to get the fathers on board as well, and just help them become better parents. Summer jobs, which really, really important. And just from the educational perspective, as a recent college grad at my university, I went to Quinnipiac University. What I found to be very helpful is actually engaging college students to, get involved in the community. So a suggestion that came up was actually allowing high schoolers or 7th and 8th graders college credit or some type of credit if they get involved with community service. So at Quinnipiac, we had this event called the Big Event, where all the college students went out into the New Haven and Hampton area and started cleaning around the community. So we could do that with Central, Bassett, Harding, and even the elementary schools. Give it a title, give it a name, and make these kids feel like they're invested. Something that I realized is that there's not a lot of pride. Growing up, when I was asked, where are you from? It went from Bridgeport until finally I started realizing I shouldn't be ashamed of where I'm from. So we need to just really let our kids and just to give them that mentality that they should have a sense of pride. And something that, I'll just leave you with this, the gentleman in the red shirt, his name is Reed, he's sitting at our table, and I just thought this was really awesome. He said that we need to fix our children's mentality because we can take away the guns, but who's going to take away the knives and the other methods of killing? So essentially, I just want to leave you, we have to just change the mentality overall. All right, thank you.
I'm from the Bridgeport Child Advocacy Coalition, and we've got representatives at our table from St. Francis, the police department, the city council, the nonprofit community. I think I got everyone there. Our thoughts really centered around having folks take back their own communities. And I think we said that once you relinquish control, it's really tough to get it back. So how do you do that? So we thought that folks should have a tip line that they can call the police, and I know the chief has his iWatch program. Sometimes people don't have smartphones, sometimes phones are easier, but some type of mechanism where you can call the cops and tell them, look, this is going on, can you come out and take care of it. Another thing we thought is neighborhood coalitions and the community watch program. Again, having folks take back their own communities. Third thing was early education programs. I think that's been mentioned before. There used to be a program up in Hartford called Only on Saturdays, probably 20 years ago, where new fathers and new mothers would take time out of their week just to get together with the kids and kind of teach them right from wrong. It's simplifying it, but it worked. And then I think the fourth thing we said was trying to read your writing, Nick. A task force representing the courts, the housing authority, judges, prosecutors, police, nonprofits, so that that would meet on a regular basis. So it's not just a once a year program like this. And I guess we'd say that there are resources in the community. Things don't need to take money to do. You'd be surprised if you just ask what some corporations and others are willing to do to help out. So don't think about the money. The money can be found. Think about what you need to do. And when you think of the right thing to do, the money will come.
Frank, your table in the rear there. Michael.
Good morning, everyone. Hi, my name is Mike. I'm from the Downtown Special Services District. I'm here with my friend Michelle Jefferson. We have a lot of great ideas back at our table, and one of the big themes I came up with is teamwork. So there's two of us. You're getting a team. But just a quick moment of levity. I don't know if you guys have this. Whenever I hear the bells, my hands get a little sweaty. I think I have to run to a test or something. I want to thank Mayor Finch and Chief Gaudette and Frank for the invitation to participate, and thank Undersecretary Lawlor for being here today, and thank you for having this summit. Mr. Mayor, it's a complex issue, and I think we came up with some good ideas and issues to discuss.
Number one that we talked about was single parent, and when you think about single parents, not just thinking about the single mom, but there are some single dads out there who also need support from the community and things like that, and lack of parenting presence. Sometimes you have kids that go home who are not part of after-school programs, and their parents are not there, they're working, and they go outside and they, probably against their parents' wishes, and they get involved in these things. So the lack of parent presence and parents pushing them into positive programs, after-school programs. And then lack of understanding of the after-school programs. All children are not the same. They learn differently. Encouraging your child to be a part of the program that's right for them. And then they'll give us the solution.
4 items, ideas we had was in the these are short-term and long-term solutions. We discussed an idea of a gun amnesty. If we can offer an amnesty for just certain locations, central locations, where anyone can just drop off a gun, no questions asked, and just walk away. And I know that's a short-term solution, but it may help with the plethora of weapons on the street. I'd like to build on the idea of the 201 system and the iWatch system. We thought everyone's heard of a parent tree whenever there's a cancellation in school, to get the word out of a cancellation of school. We had 3 stories at our table about parents or mentors reporting a potential crime or a potential violent incident. We thought, what if we came up with a parent tree or a mentor tree if there's ever any hints of a violent crime or of an incident, that we can help report it and report it to the police or a mentor system or the schools. And then there are a number of programs out there. We've got great representation from ABCD actually at our table. We've got the ministries, churches. There's a plethora of programs. If we can get a better understanding of the continuum of programs that are available. And then also, this is, I can take credit for it, but Michelle came up with the idea of making sure that we hire teachers and mentors that are very sensitive to the educational constraints, not constraints, but the challenges of urban education. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Brian, your table there in the rear. Angie.
We have representation at our table from the state's attorney's office, DOC, a youth engagement program. So we've really seen things on a continuum from at-risk to offender, arrest, prosecution, imprisonment. And we all agree that where more funding and more attention needs to be spent is early intervention. We said that it was hard for the kids to survive outside of the gang. Their lives are not so good at home, so prison is not a deterrent or punishment. They need stable environments, and we need outreach to the parents. We need to start before high school. We need more funding for nonprofit programs like Build On and Gear Up, who go out to the schools. They provide after-school activities as well as Saturday activities or Sunday activities for the kids. We said that it could be something simple, just recreation, support, structure for children after school and on the weekends. And then we also said that as far as reentry, that probation and parole have too high of caseloads, so it's hard for individual needs to be met.
This table up front here. Is this table up? Who did I miss a table right here in the back? In the rear, yes.
Good morning. My name is Jonathan Simmons. I'm a manager of the Bridgeport Police Explorer. So some of you know we're just a youth program ran by the police department. So most of my bosses are here. She's going to head up, then she's looking from Fairfield. So at my table, I had Officer Captain Stokes, who is the Central Commanding Patrol Officer, and also Lieutenant Super. I'm sorry, I call him multiple times. He's in charge of policies. And also we have a few parents and other program organizers within the city. So we came with a few things. One of the things was, promoting prevention and programs in the city. Now, I'm a youth, I'm 19 now. I know there's a lot of programs that are already set within the city, but it's just getting them out there. And there's like, I believe this table said earlier, we have maybe 30, I guess for example, 30 basketball programs. Now, mainly just 10 of them. So everybody wants to be in charge. That's one of the main things within the city. And we have so many programs, but mainly you all need one, because everybody's on that same mission for that one goal. You don't need 10 programs just to complete one goal. And financing comes into it. So, one program has grants and money, and the other program doesn't. What's the issue with bringing those programs together? There is no issue in my eyes. So that was just one of the things, and also media attention. It's just getting it out there. Kids, we don't read Connecticut Post every day, youth-wise, but I mean, I read it on my phone sometimes, as I found out today. But it's just getting out into the schools. That's one of my other programs we teamed up with Mr. Vallis and Mr. Willingham to actually go to the schools and talk to the kids. It's hard to get kids to come to your school or your program after hours. But if you actually go to them during the school hours, they have no choice but to go. So that's one of the things. We also brought up peer mentoring programs about, I guess in today's paper, yesterday's paper with Eldorado Anderson. His mentoring program has been around for years now. I know him personally, but it's just getting the program out there. You know, it's just now getting into the papers when it should have been already in the papers before, and all the good work that he's been doing. And also one of the programs that one of the gentlemen at my table came up, I'm bad with names, I'm sorry. He's a part of NIAS. NIAS. Yeah, NIAS. One of the things was the courts stipulate as many teams and dollars to deliver food, healthy food, at that, to 400 kids over the next 2 months. Just, you know, monitor the youth that they're staying healthy throughout the summer, and, you know, they're staying fit and they're doing things, good things, throughout the city while they're on summer break. So that was a few things, and also I'm going to close with, I've heard a lot of plans from many of you, but people need to realize for your plans to go into action, the people are in this room right now. Mayor Finch, Chief Gaudet, you know, they're all here from Fairfield Chief, I just seen them right here. So that's the thing, if you all had plans, put them together. The people, the two main people that run the city of Bridgeport are police and politics. And it's funny, but it's true. I've been involved in the city for 6 years. But that's the truth behind it. You know, they're in the room. And that's mainly how you get things going.
Mayor Bill Finch. I'm assuming we got everybody, right?
I want to thank each and every one of you for your participation. This has been very productive. I hope it was as productive for you as it was for me. And I guess the chief, Jonathan, says we're too kind. I don't know. It doesn't seem like it sometimes, Jonathan, but I think that was very poignant, your comments. And I love that you're from more of the youth. I don't know about you, but I thought Jonathan's comments, no offense to any of us, but he was the best. Thanks, Jonathan. Staff who worked really hard to put this together, Tim and Elaine and Joan. I want to thank Frank Boros for doing a great job to get this on together. And our students from Kolbe who helped us here today. Couple people asking why Kolbe. Well, it's great. It's right in the hollow where we've had problems, and it's also a city high school. It may be a parochial high school, but these are all city kids who go to school here. And for 2 years in a row, this school graduated 100 kids, and 100 of them went to four-year colleges. Wow. And we like to accentuate the positive, and this room has really accentuated the positive. I don't know about you, but I feel like I can go back to my job with a lot better information, and we are going to be doing this again. I left my notes on the table. What's the date for the next? June 26th, we're going to do that again at the time and place is at Housatonic Community College, June 26th, 6 p.m. And we hope that you will each bring someone new, and we can refine, I think, what each table came up with to even more specific action steps. And I don't know, Mike, if you'd like to say a few words in closing.
I'm good. You've got some great people here in Bridgeport, and we're ready to roll.
We couldn't have a better partner than Mike Lawlor. Mike, thank you so much for coming back here. One thing away from this is we have a solid community with great ideas and lots of ways to knit us all together and form an even stronger community than we had today. So thank you all for coming, and I'll see you on the 26th.
Before we leave, we want to thank our host again, Joanne Jacob.
Oh, there's Joanne.
Thank you. And remember, June 26th,